Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to make wrapped wire loop bead links that we then connect onto chain. Now this is a really versatile technique. You can make your own beaded chain, you can make your own gemstone chain, you can really put whatever you want between the two wrapped wire loops. And if you see, because it is a wrapped wire loop and we are just catching that last chain link in there, this is really strong. This is not going to come undone. So that is a great way of creating a really sturdy chain and a sturdy link. Now I'm actually going to show you this whole project here, but in a different color, just so you can see how you can use it with one application, but of course you can adapt it to a lot of other ones. I'm going to be using bicones, which I think are really pretty and sparkly. They are Swarovski crystal. And then as my focal, I actually did the same technique, just a little bit longer. And this is a Fine Rocks tube bead by Swarovski crystal. So what you're going to need, first off for tools, and then we'll go into your supplies. Tools, you'll need a chain nose plier, either a round nose plier or a wire looping plier. I'm going to be doing a wire looping because I think in instances like this where you're creating lots of little loops, they come in handy. And then just your regular flush cutter. Now in terms of your beading supplies, to use for the little links, we're going to be using wire. I'm using 24 gauge, and I like this because I can cut it to any length that I want, and 24 gauge is super soft and pliable. I'm actually going to be using a finished chain necklace. You can use just regular cut chain, but it's fun when it's finished because it does some of the work for you. It'll be the same exact technique if you were doing finished or unfinished chain. I do want to use another one of these rock tubes as my focal, and I'm going to use the one in the Crystal Light Chrome because it's so sparkly, and this is the 30mm size. And I did pull out some other ones. They do come in more colors than this, but you could do one that was 15mm, or you could do a little tiny one that was 8mm, same technique, and they are so pretty. But we're going to do the 30mm. Now I'm also going to be using the 4mm bicones. This is Crystal Light Chrome 2X, which means it is fully coated. And then I'm going to use these as my little end caps, and these are actually Heishi spacer beads. And they are 6mm in size, which is the same diameter as the Fine Rocks tube beads. And then in this one, just to show you a little something different, I did use a little bead cap that was 6mm. So a lot of choices, but I really want to show you this technique, which is so handy and easy to work with. And then you will want a ruler as well, and we'll be using that here in a minute. We're going to start by creating our focal, and we are going to be using this technique. So cut yourself a length of your wire. I'm going to probably do, this is probably about 5 inches. I'm just eyeballing it. And I am going to also cut my chain for the first time. So I'm going to find where the clasp is right here, and I'm just going to straighten it out and look for the middle link of the necklace. And this is a 16-inch chain. The gold was done with an 18-inch chain. We're just going to cut that middle link, and you'll see what we have. Now we've got these two ends. It's important to cut that before you do your wrappings. So now we're going to create a little loop on one end. So about an inch or so from the end, we're going to go ahead and pinch it with our wire looping pliers, bend it down, rotate it up, and crisscross your wire, just like that. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to take our chain nose, open it up a little bit, and slide in the end chain link. Now we want to pinch it closed, and we're going to do a couple wraps. So we're taking the wire and we're going around the stem just a couple times. You don't need to do a lot. You can if that's the look you want, but it is going to be nice and secure with just a couple. Then we're going to trim it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our little spacer bead, put it on here. Then we're going to take our rock tube, string it on here as well. And you see how that creates a really nice little end cap? It finishes it off. We're going to take our other little end cap. And now what we're going to do is we are going to grab the wire right where it exits the little spacer bead. Okay, we're going to give that little pinch. And it is nice because these wire looping pliers do a lot of the work for us. All right, and we're going to crisscross. And again, before we do any of the wrappings, we are going to slide on our other chain link from the other end. Just slide it down and pull it so it sits in that loop. Okay, now what we're going to do with this end is we're going to wrap as well. So we're just wrapping it around that main stem a couple times. And then trim it. And if you need to, you can take your chain nose and push in that little end so it's nice and secure. And this could be a finished necklace. So if you look at what we have here, that could definitely be a finished piece of jewelry, but I actually want to do the little segments up the side. So to do that, I'm going to do one side on camera here, and then the other side will be the exact same technique. I'm going to cut a length of about 3 inches or so, and I'm actually going to cut 2 of these for one side. And then what I want to do, I'm going to take my ruler, and I find it easiest just to do this as you go. You could pre-cut everything, but I don't know, I found it just as easy to really just do it kind of walking my way up the necklace. So I'm going to look to where the 1 inch is, and I am going to cut. Okay. And now got these 2 ends available. And I find it easiest if you are using finished chain to just go ahead and keep that clasped. One less thing to think about. So same technique. Just create your little loop, crisscross. And then sometimes it's open enough that you don't need to use the little plier, the little chain nose to open it up, but I like to do it anyway. So here is my little end chain link. I just link that guy on, close him on up. So I got that nice loop and I'm pinching the loop. I'm just going to do a couple little wraps. Trim. Tuck in if you need to. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You just don't want any little scratchy ends. And then in this case, I do want to use 3 bicones. Okay, slide them down. And now I'm going to make another little loop. Okay, crisscross. Open it up. And that's the hardest thing of this whole process, is just to make sure that you link on the chain before you do your wrappings. And the nice thing is if you are just using wire length to do this, then it's no big deal if you make a mistake and have to cut it off. Okay, do your wrappings. I would try to do the same number of wrappings on each one, just for consistency for the overall design. Okay. So there we've got one of them, and I want to do one more of them to show it. So it's like the example here that we did, and then I'll do the other side and then show you the finished design. So again, we're just going to go ahead, take our ruler, find where the 1 inch mark is, cut it, take our other piece of wire, make that first loop, open it up, slide on your chain, pinch it shut, do some wrappings, trim it, tuck it, and put your beads on. And you can imagine that if you do a lot of these, let's say you're doing an entire chain and like every 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch is a little segment, it will take a little while, but you're going to get so used to doing this process that it's just going to be really a breeze. Okay, so here we go. And this is going to be the last one I'm going to show you on camera because this will have been 4, and I know that's a lot to look at. But I did want to show you how to actually apply this to a project. Okay, do your wrappings. And I do highly recommend 24 gauge. If you were doing simple wire loops that didn't have wrappings, I would recommend a heavier gauge, but because you are doing your wrappings, this is going to be really secure, and it is much easier on the fingers when you're doing all these little wraps. Okay. 1/2 of our necklace is done. So this is what we've got. Again, here was the sample, and I want to also show you in this particular case, when I'm all finished, the length difference between a pre-made 16-inch chain and a pre-made 18-inch chain. But let me go ahead and finish this, and then I'll show you what we've got. So I finished the necklace, and you can see how this looks with those little beaded links. And just really quickly, if you are considering using them in a similar application where you're cutting the different finished chains, I do want to show you the overall length now of what was a 16-inch chain and what was an 18-inch for this particular necklace style, because this is a pretty fun necklace to create. All right, so this necklace chain, unadorned, started out at 16 inches. And with all the little links in the focal, it is now 20 inches long. So we can then go ahead and measure the next one. But if I did everything right, it should be about 22 inches long. So let's see. And this started as an 18-inch chain. Yep, and now it is a 22-inch chain. So it adds what I did here with the 4 side links and the focal, which was a 30mm focal. It did add about 4 inches to the overall design. If you wanted it to be shorter, all you would have to do is just snip your chain towards probably one of the last links you do and just cinch it on up. So that's very, very easy to do. But it is something to keep in mind when you are purchasing chain, whether it's a regular bulk chain that you buy by the foot or a pre-made chain. Remember, your little links are going to add to the overall length. So just keep that in mind. But really a fun, versatile technique. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you love these little Fine Rocks tube beads by Swarovski Crystals. We're having a lot of fun with them. So thank you for watching, and please check out all our other videos at beadaholique.com.